a lot of the plugs in the house, a lot of the sockets, and voila, guess what he discovered? That a significant portion of the house had knob and tube. That was something really important for my client to know, because now he knew that the entire house was going to have to get rewired. He was planning on doing renovations to the house anyway, but that's something that he would like to know going forward, that, okay, the house has knob and tube wiring. For those of you who don't know, with knob and tube wiring, it's an old wiring system. And there are some insurance companies that will insure a house that has knob and tube wiring. But the bulk of insurance companies will say, if you buy one of those houses upon closing, they will say to you, okay, you have 30 days to get the knob and tube out of the house. And so you need to know, if there's that kind of gun to your head that you've got to get the knob and tube out, it's better to know up front that the knob and tube is in there. With that particular client, we went into the multiple offers a few nights later. I think there was 12 or so offers. And of course, we went in with our initial offer. They asked everybody to come back and improve. And my client knew how much money that house was going to cost him to fix, because he had gotten a home inspection and knew about the knob and tube. So he knew, once he did the math, that, you know what? If I'm going to have to spend X number of dollars fixing it up, this house is only worth X to me. And so therefore, I can only bid so much on this house. So it was a great thing that we did. I really believe in protecting my client and making sure that my client was able to make all the right decisions. And we made all the right decisions for him. We walked away from that house that night, and we went and bought something else probably about a month or a couple months later that he loved, that he was able to fix up and turn into a great property. But it's really important to make sure that you do your due diligence before going into those crazy bidding wars. Talk to your mortgage broker, talk to your bank, and make sure that the pre-approval isn't just a pre-approval, oh, you can go spend X. Make sure that your bank or your mortgage broker have approved you so that you can actually go out and put in a justifiable offer on this house and not have a finance condition. In the multiple offer situation right now in Toronto, you simply can't have finance conditions or home inspection conditions in homes. And that's one of the reasons why I recommend for people, make sure you get the home inspection done beforehand. And in terms of the banking goes, make sure you have all your financing locked down so that you know comfortably that you can go in and bid on that house comfortably and everything will be approved for you. The other thing is, when it comes to multiple offers in a condo, you can't have a finance condition again. You can't have a home inspection condition again. However, when it comes to multiple offers with a condo, you can actually have a status certificate condition. People are okay with that. Now, you hope that the agent has pre-ordered the status certificate so that you have the status certificate ahead of time so that people can actually have their lawyers view it before they have to put in an offer. But in the case that they don't, it is possible for people to put in an offer with that one condition on it of status. And we know that the health of the building is good enough so that even if someone does put a status certificate condition in there, that everything will be approved and they will be able to purchase the condo. So a status certificate, for those who don't know, essentially is the financials of the building. So the status certificate is something that the lawyer gets, and it basically shows prospective buyers and their lawyers how much money is in the reserve fund, what expected repairs are coming down the road. Are there any increases in maintenance fees coming? Are there any special assessments coming to pay for additional things in the building? But it really lets people see the financial health of the building to make sure that they're moving into a building that's on the up and up and everything is going to be okay. You'd hate it for someone to move into a building and then the next month later be told, oh, there's going to be a special assessment coming. It's really about mitigating risk and protecting the buyer and making sure that they have all the facts up front about what they're about to buy, whether it's a condo or a house. Other ways to win a bidding war. I mean, people talk about writing cute letters to the seller, and I've tried that, but I have seen that this market, it's quite competitive, so really the sellers just care about money. For the most part, I have heard of a situation. I had lost out on a house back in the wintertime by $1,000. And one of the things that I discovered after the fact about why I lost out on the house by $1,000 was there was some mitigating circumstances for the person who got the house. The person who got the house actually wasn't even the highest offer. However, I believe it was the female head of the household had just had a serious accident and really needed the pool that was in the backyard of this home for rehab purposes. And once the sellers had heard her story and everything that she was going through, they really wanted her to have the house, which I completely understand. So they did sell the house to her and her family, and that's one of the reasons why, even though it wasn't the highest offer, they got the house. So there are cases like that, but for the most part, I've definitely seen that sellers just want the biggest check. Whoever's got the biggest deposit check and the biggest final check, of course, asking for offer price, would get it, and whoever has the right closing date. Having the correct closing date is also quite important when it comes to winning a bidding war as well, too. I usually check ahead of time to find out what kind of closing date are the sellers looking for. You can tell if the property is vacant and nobody's living there. It's not rocket science, but you can pretty much figure out that they're carrying the house and they don't want to be carrying the house any longer. So if you can close in 2 or 3 weeks, you're certainly going to be ahead of the game, and that's certainly going to be helping you winning the bidding war. Other things you can do to help win bidding wars is if you see a house that's perhaps an estate sale or a hoarder live there, you can add a clause in there to basically say that you can just take the house as is, as in you will be in charge of getting rid of all of the items that are in the house, because that will make the seller's life easier. That will make their siblings or their family members' life easier. And so they're more apt to take an offer that makes their life simpler by someone who's willing to remove all the garbage and the debris and everything from the house is certainly going to be the person who wins that bidding war, just simply because they don't want to deal with those kinds of items if they have to. So that's another way that someone can try to win a bidding war, is to just do more of the work for the seller, things that they don't want to have to do themselves, really. Another way to win a bidding war is to be flexible on the closing date. If you know the sellers haven't found their next place yet, or for whatever reason their closing date is up in the air, you could simply write a clause that says that you give them the option with 30 or so days notice to extend or move up the closing date. If the sellers can see that your client is quite flexible in terms of moving around the closing date if they need to, it gives them the flexibility to think, you know what, maybe this is the offer, assuming the price is okay, that they should accept, because they have some flexibility in terms of moving around the closing date. So really, winning a bidding war is about giving the sellers what they want. It's making sure that it's a clean offer. There's no home inspection condition. There's no status certificate condition. If it's a condo, there's no finance condition. You've met their closing date, so it's either as soon as possible or giving them flexibility on the closing date if they don't have one. Or it's jumping in there with a preemptive offer that gives that client, that seller, all of the above. And that's another way to really win a bidding war. So in this competitive Toronto real estate market, the best way to win the bidding war is to really be aggressive, because this is the place that you're going to call home. And you might want to throw up a little bit in your mouth once you get the house and you are aggressive, but once you move in, it will feel like home and you will be so happy that you made the decision to be aggressive to get that house. Thanks so much for listening today. If you have any questions or comments or other topics that you'd love me to cover, please reach out to me at devel@bosleyrealestate.com or on Twitter @DevelMorrison. Thanks so much for listening. Talk to you later. Bye.
You've been listening to The Morrison Report. Hosted by Devel Morrison, sales representative for Bosley Real Estate Limited Brokerage, real estate investor and best-selling author, bringing you insights on the Toronto real estate market. Join us for another podcast.